Assalamu alaikum dear students. Today we will do lesson for week 7 for the business studies. Class is C1. Our resources are Cambridge IGCSE Business Studies book. Writers are Peter Stimson and Karen Borrington. Contents: objective, review of last week, business activity, classification of business, enterprise, business growth and size, types of business organization, business objectives and stakeholders objectives, summary, assignment. Objective: by the end of lesson, students will be able to explain the business activity and classification of business, explain the enterprise, business growth and size, explain the types of business organization, explain the business objectives and stakeholder objectives. Review of last week. In the last week lesson, you learned why businesses need objectives, objectives of stakeholders, conflicts between objectives, business activity. A need is a good or service essential for living. A want is a good or service which people would like to have, but which is not essential for living. People's wants are unlimited. Economic problem. In economic problem, there exist unlimited wants but limited resources to produce the goods and services. To satisfy those wants, this creates scarcity. Factors of production are those resources needed to produce goods or services. There are 4 factors of production, and they are in limited supply. Scarcity. Scarcity is the lack of sufficient products to fulfill the total wants of population. Opportunity cost is the next best alternative given up by choosing another item. Specialization occurs when people and businesses concentrate on what they are best at. Division of labor is when the production process is split up into different tasks and each worker performs one of these tasks. It is a form of specialization. Added value is the difference between selling price of a product and the cost of bought-in materials and components. Classification of businesses. Primary sector of industry extracts and uses the natural resources of the earth to produce raw materials used by other businesses. Secondary sector of industry manufactures goods using raw materials provided by the primary sector. Tertiary sector of industry provides services to consumers and other sectors of industry. Deindustrialization occurs when there is a decline in the importance of secondary manufacturing sector of industry in a country. Mixed economy has both a private sector and a public state sector. Capital is the money invested in a business by the owners. Enterprise, business growth and size. Entrepreneur is a person who organizes, operates and takes the risks for a new business venture. Business plan is a document containing the business objectives and important details about the operations, finance and owners of the new business. Capital employed is the total value of capital used in the business. Internal growth occurs when a business expands its existing operations. External growth is when a business takes over or merges with another business. It is often called integration. Merger is when the owners of two businesses agree to join their firms together to make one business. Takeover or acquisition is when one business buys the other owner's business and that becomes part of predator business, the firm which has taken it over. Horizontal integration is when one firm merges with or take over another one in the same industry at the same stage of production. Vertical integration is when one firm merges with or take over another one in the same industry but at a different stage of production. Vertical integration can be forward or backward. Conglomerate integration is when one firm merges with or takes over a firm in a completely different industry. It is also known as diversification. Now, next topic. Types of business organization. Sole trader is a business owned by one person. Limited liability means liability of shareholders in a company is only limited to the amount they have invested. Unlimited liability means that the owner of a business can be held responsible for the debts of the business they own. Their liability is not limited to the investment they had made in the business. Partnership is a form of business in which two or more people agree to jointly own a business. Partnership agreement is the written and legal agreement between business partners. It is not essential for partners to have such an agreement, but it is always recommended. Unincorporated business is one when that does not have a separate legal identity. Sole traders and partnerships are unincorporated businesses. Incorporated business are companies that have separate legal status from their owners. Shareholders are the owners of a limited company. They buy shares which represent part ownership of a company. Dividends. Dividends are payments made to shareholders from the profits after tax of a company has been deducted. They are the return to shareholders for investing in the company. Franchise is a business based upon the use of brand names, promotional logos, and trading methods of an existing useful and successful business. The franchisee buys the license to operate this business from the franchisor. Our next topic is business objectives and stakeholder objectives. Business objectives are the aims or targets that a business works towards. Profit is total income of business, that is sales revenue, less total costs. Market share is the promotion of total market sales achieved by one business. Social enterprise has social objective as well as an aim to make a profit to reinvest back in the business. Stakeholder is any person or group with a direct interest in the performance and activities of a business. Now let's look at the summary of this week lesson. In this lesson you have learned: number 1, business activity; number 2, classification of business; number 3, enterprise, business growth and size; number 4, types of business organizations; and lastly, business objectives and stakeholder objectives. Students, for this week you have to do 2 questions in the assignment. Question number 1 is: identify the features of a sole trader. And question number 2, explain the business objectives in detail. So this was all for this week. Best of luck for your assignments. Allah Hafiz.